Hi there, this video is about bacterial toxicology, or as we like to call it, bacterial warfare. We have membrane-destroying toxins, protein function and synthesis disrupting toxins, toxins that mess up the complex signaling systems between organs and tissues, and toxins that make your immune system attack itself rather than the enemy. Membrane-destroying toxins. Membrane-destroying toxins, or PFTs as they're called in scientific articles, are secreted by bacteria. How bacteria manage not to get themselves destroyed by these toxins still needs to be discovered. These PFTs allow bacteria to enter the host cell and also allow leakage of important cellular material, such as ions like calcium, ATP, the molecules where the body stores energy, proteins, or amino acids, which the bacteria can use for themselves. But our cells know a way to counter this. Once a breach is detected, the cell works hard to repair the membrane, and often gets help from the immune system. Another defense mechanism is to swell up. This way, the cell can minimize the amount of cellular material going out of the cell. The host cell can also go into a low energy consuming state, which means that even if the bacteria manages to destroy parts of its membrane, the host cell won't be able to give in much, since it's barely using any material or energy. Protein function and synthesis inhibiting toxins. Not many bacteria are able to produce such toxins. These toxins are quite lethal, and killing your host too quickly is not that desirable for a bacteria's own survival chances. A few exist though, and they're quite famous: Shigella dysenteriae and Corynebacteria diphtheriae. They produce, respectively, Shiga and diphtheria toxin. The way Shiga toxin works is by sabotaging the ribosomes of a cell. Ribosomes are the protein factories and need a constant supply of amino acids to turn into proteins. If the ribosomes in a cell are unable to work because the ribosome itself is sabotaged, no proteins can be produced. Since your body and the cell need a constant supply of proteins, this can quickly kill the cell and you. Diphtheria toxin works in a similar manner. The Shiga toxin destroys the machines, the ribosomes, but diphtheria toxin makes the machine work improperly. The ribosome has a supply of amino acids, which it needs to stitch together like a necklace. But if it can't stitch, no protein is formed, which has the same end result as what Shiga toxin does to your cell and body. Messing up the signaling system between organs and tissues. You might have heard about Botox. Women like to stuff that in their faces. Botox is short for botulinum toxin. It can be used in very low concentrations and is very popular among upper-class women. Botulinum toxin is used by women to hide wrinkles because the toxin works on the muscles that cause wrinkles. It locally paralyzes the muscles. Paralyzation is a very common characteristic for neurotoxins. Toxins that mess up the signaling system between organs and tissues can disrupt signals for like cell division, growing, apoptosis because of the risk of the cell turning cancerous, calls for reinforcement in case of infections, regulation of food distribution, glucose and ions for example, hormone-induced activities such as the secretion of adrenaline, testosterone, or estrogen, and many, many more signals. A cell needs to be able to receive and answer these signals. The system that is needed to properly answer and/or receive is very complex and needs to be performed properly. If that doesn't happen, lots of freaky things happen. Bad freaky things. So how does botulinum work when not used as a cosmetic? Botulinum is a neurotoxin And you obviously know that your nervous system controls many things in your body. Some things you are aware of, like your muscles in your arm, but also things that you're not aware of, like your digestive system. Your nerves use small molecules to send signals with. So when an electric signal goes through your nerves and reaches an endpoint called a synapse, a small molecule is released and affects your muscle or any other kind of cell. This molecule tells your muscle to contract, but botulinum blocks this molecule. And not does it only block it, it completely destroys the molecule before it can tell your muscle to contract. So if your muscles don't contract, then it means you're paralyzed. You use a lot of muscles for things like breathing, for example. If the muscles needed for breathing can't contract, you suffocate. And then you die horribly. Turning your immune system on itself. Superantigen toxins manage to fool your immune system by making it overreact. How, you ask? There are these things called antigens. Antigens are proteins, small proteins, that can be found on the surface of bacteria. There are small cells called antigen-presenting cells that collect these antigens, process them inside, and then present small parts of them as trophies on their membrane. We call those trophies MHC class II. MHC are small molecules on the membrane of cells. MHC class I can be found on all cells except blood cells. When the immune system cells are scanning for pathogens or sick cells, they check for the MHC class I molecules on the surface. If the immune system cells recognize this MHC class I flag, they will keep on going. If there's something wrong with the flag, or it's not recognized by the immune system, it will attack. It doesn't care if it's your own cell or a pathogen. It will attack. MHC class II are small parts of the antigen after being processed and are presented on the surface of a so-called antigen-presenting cell, or APC. When the immune system's T cells find an APC with MHC class II molecules on it, it will look in a very large database for the right way to deal with the bacteria that's apparently inside the body. Normally, if a T cell finds an APC with antigens of a bacteria, the T cell will activate about 0.001% of the army of the immune system. The reason why it is such a low number is that for every kind of pathogen, only a small amount of T cells know how to deal with it. However, most superantigens can activate about 25% of the available T cells, while the most potent superantigens can reach close up to 100% T cell activation rates, and this results in a massive and truly massive immune response because T cells release a special substance called cytokines. These cytokines are needed to defeat the pathogen, but also make you feel sick. The bacteria releases a very large amount of these antigens on purpose, which results in a very strong immune response that has no specific target anymore. The bacteria, which is often resistant to non-specific immune response, reigns supreme in the midst of this chaos. An uncoordinated immune response of this magnitude can kill the body because of shock, multiple organ failure, fever, and many other life-threatening symptoms. Thank you for watching.